851, turn right heading 180. Order 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established.
Welcome to an Air New Zealand trip report, as we fly on the 777-300ER from Auckland to Melbourne on NZ 123. After a bit of spotting from our hotel located right next to the terminal, we headed in for check-in. Overall, it was a very comfortable and easy procedure, with the self-service check-in desk, and then you moved on to the bag drop. Before passing through security, you went up a very, very tall escalator and ended up at a food hall where a few shops were also located. As we can see here, this was more a convenience store, and one thing that is very, very common throughout the terminal is the All Blacks presence, which is the New Zealand rugby team. Now, contrasting what I said earlier, the World Cup was on when I was flying, and they were showing Belgium versus England. As you can see at the time, Belgium were leading 1-0 in the 74th minute. Just to reiterate, our flight for the day was NZ 123 onto Melbourne, departing at 8:50 AM local time. When we arrived at the gate, we were met by hundreds of passengers. However, this was actually a school from Argentina who were coming to Melbourne to compete in a sporting competition. So there were actually very few holiday goers or business travellers. The majority of the flight was taken up by these sporting people. I could not floor the experience so far with Air New Zealand, as it was absolutely fantastic. The check-in was smooth and the boarding was even smoother. Luckily, we got on before the majority of the school children, so finding our seat was relatively easy as well. Air New Zealand have a 3-4-3 configuration on their 777-300ERs, which in my opinion is perfect for the aircraft. Our seat for the day was 44K, and it was a very, very comfortable seat, more than adequate for a 4-hour journey. In the seat pocket you were given a headset. You could plug that into the armrest and then listen to whatever movie, music, or just TV show that you were looking at. There was the sick bag, safety cards, an in-flight magazine, and finally the tray table. What we're going to do now is move on to the IFE system. But before we do that, it's important to show the weather in Auckland. It seems I did bring the Melbourne weather with me on my trip to New Zealand. Now, during my time flying, I haven't really experienced many IFEs, but I can say that the Air New Zealand one was top-notch in comparison to the Qantas A380. The response times were absolutely brilliant, and I felt that I was in control when scrolling through. As you can see, there are plenty of movies on offer. In fact, way too many. I only got through probably one during the entire flight, and there are lots of different categories. If you don't understand English, they have different languages, which is also very handy, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. Different genres are also available, like your action thriller with the likes of Maze Runner, The Bourne Identity, and more. In addition to this, we have music, podcasts, and just radios in general. Again, what is on offer is brilliant for a 3.5-hour flight. To the left, again, you have all the different genres, so hip-hop, rap, chill, dance, and so on. Similar to what is found in the movies, you had the opportunity to pick which language you wanted to listen into. There were also games that featured on the IFE, but that's not really my thing. This flight did have Wi-Fi, and if you were with the channel in July, you may have actually joined the live stream that I did from 30,000 feet up. Air New Zealand also offer their customers merchandise, so your model planes. However, again, that wasn't really to my liking, but I'm still going to show you for video purposes. Although I must admit that model plane does look pretty cool. Now, in this IFE, there is a brilliant interactive flight map that Air New Zealand offer you, where again you can see where you're located, how long until your destination, the flight path, your cruising altitude, nearby airports, nearby locations, and so on. Again, the response times were quite good on this. However, I did struggle at times to zoom in, as it wanted to zoom in on different parts of the map. Below that, there is a USB charging port and a headphone jack. This is located just below the screen, and you can use this if you wish. In regards to legroom, it was absolutely perfect, and I had no complaints throughout the flight. Now, this particular plane is fitted with the Sky Couch, at least I believe it is. This is where you have almost a kick-out recline that's located where your calves would be. Similar to what we're finding now in more and more aircraft, Air New Zealand do opt for a very nice mood lighting, which is a purpley pink colour. This is quite present in their IFE and also in their uniforms throughout. I really do like it, no complaints about the mood lighting. As you can see, the weather in Auckland was pretty atrocious, non-stop raining. I was really hoping for beautiful conditions during our departure so you could see Auckland, but unfortunately you couldn't really. What I'm going to do now is be quiet and let you hear the GE90 spool. This is my first ever time that I flew on a Boeing 777, and the takeoff was really enjoyable, even if the rain did hinder the sound of it. Unfortunately, the camera really doesn't do the sound justice. After around 10 minutes of not being able to see anything outside our window, we did emerge above the clouds and finally got a glimpse of the full 777 wing and the curvature of it. One thing's for sure, I cannot wait to go on board the 777X and see that from inside. Shortly after takeoff, we were given our breakfast. There was a bowl of fruit, some yogurt, and a quiche, which was actually very nice. Now, on board my Airbus A320 flight from Melbourne to Queenstown, I was served the exact same thing, so I did know what to expect. As you can see, it's open. There were also some potato wedges and some tomato sauce over the top. Overall, the meal was really enjoyable. As I said, I have had it before, so I knew what to expect, but again, couldn't fault it at all, especially as it's airplane food. With only around a 3.5 hour flight, selecting a movie was difficult, and I just went for Godzilla. As I said, there was so much on offer that I really want to try Air New Zealand again. And no, not just for the movies, but also the service. As the flight comes to a close, and we continue our descent into Melbourne, I just want to recap the flight. Overall, it was truly an incredible experience, and I can hands down say that Air New Zealand are easily one of the best airlines I've ever flown with. I haven't flown with many, but Air New Zealand goes straight to number 1 on my list. Their service was impeccable. They were on hand at all times to help you with any questions, queries, and more. Their food service was prompt, and the food was really enjoyable, and I didn't get sick from it, so that automatically gives it an 11 out of 10. What I'm going to do now is let you watch the remainder of the descent and the landing, and I'll get back to you very soon on the final thought to end the video. And I'm deeply sorry to anyone that feels uncomfortable when they hear people clapping during a landing. Upon landing into the very congested Melbourne airport, we did have to wait 15 minutes until a gate was freed up for our arrival. So I'll go over a mini recap in this section, reviewing each part of the service. So the check-in and boarding, I would probably give an 8 out of 10. There was nothing really to complain about there, and it was a very smooth procedure. What about the food? Well, the food was really enjoyable. I'll give that a 9 out of 10. We were only served the breakfast, but I believe you could still purchase a snack if you wanted to. Of course, I wasn't going to, because snacks are usually overpriced on any airline for that matter, not just Air New Zealand. In terms of the service, I could not fault that in any aspect, and would give a straight up 10 out of 10. What about for the smoothness of the flight? Again, pretty smooth, we didn't really encounter any turbulence, and the landing was quite good despite my dodgy camera work, but I'm not very experienced when it comes to filming the takeoff and landing of flights. And the big question is, would I recommend Air New Zealand, and would I fly them again? First of all, I would recommend Air New Zealand to anyone. If you're travelling into New Zealand, flying out of New Zealand, or just passing by the country, I would highly recommend getting on board one of their aircraft. As I said, the food's great, the service is great, the people in general are brilliant, so yes, the next opportunity I get, I will definitely be flying them. In fact, I really want to try out their new A321neo or their A320neos once delivered, so maybe stay tuned for that, as I'll hopefully try and get on board at some point and do another one of these trip reports. That's going to conclude the trip report for NZ123 from Auckland to Melbourne on an Air New Zealand Boeing 777-300ER. If you did enjoy this trip report and would like to maybe see more, please don't hesitate to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'd like to thank you very much for joining me on this journey, and I look forward to you all joining me in either the next trip report or the next video.
Race all of these broken dreams in flight, and we'll fly.